What's up, Victoria? It's Victoria, and welcome to the After Sass, the Critical Sass After Show, where I try to prove to you and myself that the makeup that we already own is better than the new makeup releases. This is just a little effort to make you think more about making a purchase before you do. Sometimes there's nothing lovelier than what we already own. My face is bare right now, and I'm just gonna do a full face of makeup, and if I have something to compare to a new makeup item, I will, and if I don't, I will just show on screen real quick a little me applying it, and we'll move right along. In Critical Sass, I talked about Makeup Forever's new Skin Booster HD, whatever. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's their new skin tint that has the really weird pump on the bottom. I talked about how I didn't really like the packaging, but beyond that, like, I don't need a skin tint right now. I have a skin tint that I really like, the one from Eldridge, and I have the shade T3, and this has just been really working for me. I really like the way it makes my skin look. It was one of my favorite 5 products that I tried last year, and something that I try to keep in mind while I am someone who creates content for the internet and makeup is involved, and sometimes I do buy makeup to make that content. I also try to keep in mind that, like, I only really want to keep things around that I would use. So if I'm thinking about, for me, purchasing a new skin tint, it would have to be something that I think my audience would be really interested in. And I don't really think a lot of people are very interested in what Makeup Forever does unless they do something really cool. I would say for the most part, I've never really had people in my audience like ask for stuff from Makeup Forever. And then thinking about it from strictly a consumer standpoint, I already have a skin tint. What is a second skin tint going to add to my life right now? Now, if I really am curious about the Makeup Forever one, why don't I just wait until after I finish this one? Because Makeup Forever, for the most part, is like offered in Sephora. I don't know. All the Sephoras in my area have a Makeup Forever display. And I would have to imagine that's pretty consistent across the country. And I think that a lot of department stores have Makeup Forever at them too. So it's something that if you run out of this one day, or you run out of the skin tint that you currently use, you would probably be able to go buy that in store and have it right away if you wanted to make a trip to do that. I just think it would be really silly for me to have more than one skin tint. Last year I had 2 skin tints. I had this and the one from Glossier. I liked this one more, and it was the one I mostly chose to use last year. And it's like, well, why have 2? Just food for thought. But I'm going to use this. It's really lovely, and I can't wait to wear it. I feel like I haven't worn makeup in a while, but that's actually truthful. I'm filming this on Saturday. I filmed Critical Sass Sunday, and that was the last thing I filmed. Oh, I did film something for Patreon and members between then, but I didn't put makeup on for that video because I just wasn't feeling it. And I'm applying this with a brush. Skin tints, I feel like traditionally are like mostly designed to be applied with your hands. There's something about that warmth that really works it into the skin. But I find that like a brush like this brand doesn't make this brush anymore. This is from Mud Makeup. Mud Makeup was the makeup I used in beauty school. It was really bad makeup. It's almost like in beauty school, they don't want you to like the makeup portion unless you go to like a school really designed for makeup. But the cosmetology and aesthetics programs, at least in Pennsylvania, they're not that interesting. I really like the way this applies with this brush. So if you find a brush that has a similar density to that and shape, this, I do like applying lighter coverage foundations and skin tints. I do think it's worth considering, again, as we head into the economic times that we are heading into, or the unknown economic times. I don't want to like say for sure that everything's going to be bad. That's how I feel. But, you know, economically, let's just say that unsure, heading into these unsure times. I know a lot of us like to experiment with formulas, but like a safe bet is a safe bet. And that's not saying if you've never tried this that you need to try this. But I really love this. So I don't think I would want to buy the Makeup Forever skin tint just to try it now. As a consumer, I would be like, oh, I know I love the Eldridge skin tint. It still works perfectly well for me. I'm just going to rebuy that. Like, if I want to keep having skin tint, I would just focus on repurchasing things that I've already purchased and I know how they perform, as opposed to like taking the risk and buying something new. If I were explicitly a consumer of makeup and not a content creator and consumer of makeup, that would probably be how I would proceed through this world right now. In Critical Sass, I spent, I think, about 10 minutes talking about the Eldridge Pinpoint registered trademark concealer. And I really made a hullabaloo of it. I think that's the first time I talked about a Eldridge product where I received almost no pushback about what I said. Here's the feedback I've gotten on that concealer. I know that Amanda Z did a video on it. I see a lot of my other content creator friends who do new makeup release videos kind of say that they are kind of interested in it, which was like baffling to me. And I also had some feedback in the comments. So a couple people who bought it and tried it said it really didn't work. It was like not something that worked out for them. There was one person in my comments who said it was a ridiculous price and a ridiculous thing that she was kind of selling it, but also said that it worked really well for them. It doesn't seem very consistent whether or not people are having a really great experience with it or a really bad experience with it, or like didn't think it was worth it to buy it. Another thing that I have heard is that the writing on it, like the stuff on it, has all wiped off, but I think that that's a known issue. I think the brand said that that's something they're going to fix. That's what I've heard. This is all stuff I've heard since I did Critical Sass. So that's something to note. A lot of people were upset. This is just like adding more context that was in plastic after I knew that she released those lipsticks in aluminum, but like people were upset. It's like you released this thing in a plastic component after making a big stink about making something 100% recyclable. So there was a lot. Anyway, I just think it's a ridiculous product. Finally, in case you didn't know this, because I didn't know this until I started talking about it, apparently this product is really popular in K&J Beauty, and you might be able to find one at a much less expensive cost. Same idea, and I bet the cost per gram would probably still be pretty high on those, but that would be an alternative if you were interested in this product and did not want to pay the Lisa Eldridge pricing. I think that's it as far as like updates on what the feedback on the Lisa Eldridge concealer was up until now. Right now, I'm trying to finish a concealer. And I like it. I don't really spot conceal. I'm not really concerned myself with that. And I don't know that like they have things that I would care to spot conceal. The thing about this product is I actually think it's something that I think I would like if it wasn't such an egregious price point. Like, I think that this is something that would make a lot of sense for me. I don't cover up a lot. The most I use concealer for is right under my eyes. But like every now and then, I guess, like in theory, I don't know that my skin looks much different with the skin tint on. It just looks more blurred and a little more perfected. I have some redness right here. This always happens on the high point of my cheek. I could take a spot concealer and put it right there. And I think that would be like something I would use that for, but I can do that with this. This is the Surratt Dewdrop Concealer. And I'm basically really close to being done with this. And I'm just focusing on this right now until I'm done with it. And that's why I'm using it. But people who do spot conceal, I think that they already have like a concealer that they like for that. It just really seemed like something that they were selling this like fantasy for. And I was like, people who like to do that already have their solution for that. Like they weren't waiting until 2025 for Lisa to say that. On it being like a thing that has been really popular in Korean and Japanese skin, makeup for a long time. I guess what's kind of happening now is a lot of products in the Eastern market are like being made by Western brands, and then it's being sold by the Western brands as like something new and innovative, but it's like something you could have bought on Stylovana for like $10. So keep that in mind. But also, again, unknown economic times. I don't know if things on Stylovana and YesStyle might get more expensive. And I know there's a lot going on with like Korean sunscreen and the concerns about being able to buy that, even though it's been kind of like quote unquote illegal the whole time to buy. I just watched a video from Alice in the Rabbit Hole. So if you have been using Korean sunscreen, I would go watch her video. I also know that one of the founders of Dia, what's her name? She's also been talking about this on Instagram, and I think if she still uses TikTok, I think she's posting that there too. There are resources on that. I don't think I'm a good resource for you on that, but like, I certainly concealed my face with a thing I already had. I did talk about a couple of contouring products. So I talked about the new Rare Beauty contour wands, or liquid contour. And I also talked about the expansion of Charlotte Tilbury's contour wands, and basically kind of lamented that both of them don't really look like contours on me. As I also mentioned in that video, I did a contour video for cream and liquid contours and to find my perfect one. And my perfect one happens to be from Ritual Defeat, and this is the shade Intuition. It's not a contour line, but for me and a lot of other people with fair skin and pink undertones, this has been a very good find for us. So I'm just going to use this today. This is just kind of like constantly the problem whenever it comes to contour releases, is that they're always warm. And I think people might be too scared to use something that feels truly gray, so they just avoid making a gray one altogether and jump right into like Brontour, taking Brontour and calling it contour and marketing it as just like a straight contour is better for the brand, and I bet they get less pushback on that when people buy their contour and if it has like too much gray in it. I think that's a brand just like kind of covering their own butt. So like I get why, but it is just unfortunate that like it's so hard to find like a real contour at Sephora or even Ulta. Well, Ulta has the one from Essence. Otherwise, if I'm buying a contour at Sephora, the Sephora collection one was very gray. I did go and swatch a bunch of contours at Sephora. It is an option at Sephora, but I think there's a little more nuance to Intuition. If I had them both, I would swatch them next to each other. There's like a little pink in this that I think makes it melt into my skin a little more. Something makes me believe that the contour from Sephora collection would be a little more pigmented and maybe not want to come one with my skin like this one does. That's just a guess. I don't know that for sure. But like just having used Sephora collection products in the past and sold Sephora collection products for a couple of years, they're good, but I think you do have to make some, what's that word? You know, you have to compromise a little bit on some things. I'm going to use Divine Daylight from Phytosurgeons really quick on my cheeks. In Critical Sass, I talked about a plethora of blush products, but the one I really want to focus in on right now is the one from Natasha Denona, which has like, I guess like a cream matte blush and then like a highlighter, a blush. It looked more like highlighter to me, and having had Natasha Denona cream blush palettes in the past, I always feel like that highlighter-y one always reads more as like a highlighter with some pigment in it than like a blush that has some highlighter in it. I lamented in Critical Sass about how pink everything from Natasha Denona was in this range, and I didn't think it was really well thought out, but I do have like a pinky cream highlighter that I want to use today that I have been paying more attention to these days. It's the Super Loaded Tinted Highlighter from Westman Atelier in the shade Peau de Rose. So pretty. I'm going to powder my face real quick and then we will come back and talk about some other things. Along with the Natasha Denona Blushes, I talked about two other blush formulas that were being released, and I talked about the ones from Urban Decay. The ones from Urban Decay I think felt really lovely. I, saw them in store, and I think that their color range is actually quite good. So I don't really have any complaints about that, but I just don't really love a matte, even powder formula. I do like something with a little more gloss. I do have some matte blushes, but I like my blush to have a little bit of dimension to it. So YSL released their blushes, and I said that I found that the colors were really compelling and I was really interested in them. And I did need to re-up on moisturizer, and I didn't get to swatch them in stores, so I did buy one of them. I'm not going to be using it on my face today, but I did want to show it to you and just talk a little bit about it to you in this video because I might be returning it. If I do return it, that I do apply it to my face and show that to you at some point. But this is the Make Me Blush Powder Blush in the shade 44, which I believe is called New Lavalier. So the outside packaging, it has that squishiness that I compared to the soft toilet seats. It's not as squishy as I thought it was. I don't know why. I feel like whenever I've touched them in store in the past, I've always felt like they were like much squishier than that. There is nothing to grip on the outside. So I do think if you have dexterity issues and you normally need like some kind of texture or like push in or indent there to get things open, you might have a hard time opening it. It is a magnet closure. I would say the magnet, it's not as strong as the Westman Atelier one, but I think because there is no other version of the closure, I do think that the magnet is pretty strong. Like I do feel like I need to really give it a go. And then that's what the color looks inside. Now I feel like in the swatches and in the powder, like, you know how like brands will do like a powder swatch? I feel like in that swatch, it looked really purple. In person, it still looks like an intriguing color, but it's like a little less intriguing in person. And this is why I wish I would have been able to see it in person before I got it. So I'm going to give you a swatch. That's what it looks like on the finger. So I think the thing I can compare it the most to, which is unfortunate, NARS's Orgasm. And I don't mean that really in a derogatory way. It's not as sparkly, but it is kind of like a pink blush that has a slightly golden sheen. When I swatch it, the sheen was like way sheenier than I was expecting. And so I was just expecting something a little more special from it. I thought that there was going to be like a little more nudiness to ground it. And then I also thought that it would be a little more purple. And I don't really care for like the gold sheen, but if the color underneath was more interesting and it had a gold sheen, I think I would be okay with that. And I actually thought like if I would have done this without having it, I would have compared it to shade 3 from Valentino. I depotted this, so that's why it's not in its compact, but it's much more purple. Hopefully that's picking up. This one also has a warm sheen that goes on top, but I think because it's more of a lavender shade, that reads as a little more special. So there's the one from Valentino, shade 3. I don't know the shade name off the top of my head, but it is shade 3 in their range. It's a beautiful blush. It's actually one of my favorite powder blushes. And what I was going to do and what I'm going to do today, because I thought that this was going to be more interesting, is I'm going to take the Valentino blush, and then this is a blush from Excel, which I believe is a Japanese brand. I again depotted this because I really like it and I knew I was going to keep it. But this is the powder blush that Hindash told me about. So what I want to do is to actually like take a blush brush and tap a little bit into both of these and apply that and see what that looks like, because I think that was what in my head I was expecting. It does feel like a bit of a shame because I did really want to swatch it before I bought it, but there was no place to swatch it before I bought it, so I just dove right in, and I do feel bad about that. I do think this year I'm gonna be more okay with the idea of returning things, which I haven't really been that in the past, but I'm not gonna buy things I don't think I like. Like, that's still never the intention. It's just if things don't work out for me, I'm not gonna feel bad about returning them. I'm gonna tap like twice into both shades. Okay, I tapped 4 times into both shades. I'm just gonna tap it on. That's really lovely. I really wish that this is what Nude Lavalier ended up being. The gold flecks that are in there, it's from the brush picking up the glitter from the highlighter and kind of dispersing it through the blush, but neither one of these has chunks of glitter in it, if you're picking that up on camera at all. Victoria Beckham stuns a new selfie. I really like that. I really like that combo. I need to remember that. Really great. This might just be a great kind of thing to have on hand to mix. I also wonder if you're more comfortable buying from Surratt, if Grisaille might be something similar to that. I do want to get my hands on Grisaille. I keep meaning to buy it and then I keep not, because I have so many nice things. Oh, I will say I'm not going to try to push it out because I think I am going to return this. There is a hole to push out the product, so I don't know if it's magnetic. I do think that this is more luxe feeling than the Gucci one in compact, even though they're both plastic. It's not metal or anything. Even though they're both plastic, I do like the look and the feel of that one a little bit better. In Critical Sass, I talked about how Charlotte Tilbury is going to be releasing some 9-pan palettes, and I have heard since that they're going to be limited edition. I don't know. It's very confusing, but I actually have a 9-pan from Charlotte Tilbury. It's the original Beautyverse palette. I love this palette. I know that a lot of reviewers didn't like it when it first launched, but I think it's a really lovely palette, especially these brown mattes down here. They're the Future Matte formula, which I'm really hoping that these 9-pans have that Future Matte formula, because I would be compelled to buy one if they had the Future Matte formula. So I'm excited to use this today. I feel like I haven't used it in a while. As you may or may not know, I have like an everyday makeup drawer I made, and I've been really using that or stuff that I'm testing now, mixing that up or using them separately. Really have been utilizing that instead of going into my drawers. So it's just been a little bit since I used this, which is good, right? Because I've been focusing on the other stuff. I think you understand. I'm pleased with how the everyday makeup drawer is going. Basically, ultimately what I want to say. I'll prime my eyes and then we will start playing with the eyeshadows. Because of the purple cheek, I'm going to do all of the browns in here and just make some dimension. Then I'm going to put the purple in the center here all over the lids, and then I'm going to use the Party Topper shade there to round out the look. But I am having some thoughts. I'll zoom you in a little bit. I don't think we need to be like that close to my eye right now because this is a product that has been well documented on my channel, and I think it has its own explicit review video, so check that out if you want to know more about it. I do think they still sell this product, but I'm wondering if the move from Charlotte Tilbury to kind of look like a ColourPop is some kind of like weird ploy for quiet luxury. Like, oh, this is Charlotte Tilbury, but it looks just like everything else. I think that happens in like luxury brands with fashion. And I'm wondering if like Charlotte is like doing the equivalent in makeup. I did compare it to Dior Backstage, and some other people agreed that it was giving the same vibes as like a Dior Backstage concept. But we'll see. If they're limited edition, then I don't really know what it is. But I do really think they look like ColourPop. If I know I'm going to film Critical Sass and other people release new makeup videos, I don't tend to watch them until after I've filmed. I feel like I can say what I'm thinking before watching other people. But like, even though I do Critical Sass, I still love watching new makeup release videos. I like hearing what other people think about new makeup releases. I don't always agree with them, but like I like hearing other people's thoughts. Kelly Gooch kind of said that she thought they looked like ColourPop, and she had, I think, got a whole segment in her new makeup release video. I don't know what she titles hers off the top of my head, but she had a whole segment about like luxury brands looking cheap or like kind of cheapening the concept of the brand. And as I'm applying this, I know I said that I really love the Future Matte formula, but it is really just so blendy and lovely. It's such an easy formula to work with. I'm really glad you guys like Critical Sass. Like I know that like it is my most popular video on my channel, but like it does make me happy. It is the video that I think I like obviously put the most work into, and there is a big payoff. It sparks conversation. People have a laugh. And I think, you know, in the way things feel right now for a lot of people, it was like a fun bit of a escape, even though I like did kind of bookend the video with things that felt more feeling-y, even though I wasn't explicitly saying that. I'm using these mattes, and if they are future mattes, I might snag one of those for review when they come out. I need to figure out if that is the case before I would do that. And if that does happen, do you want a dedicated review of that, or would you prefer it just kind of like going in with my new makeup and I talk about it as I use it? I will be filming a new makeup video. I have the new collection from Bella Beauty Bar. They sent it in PR. We love them for that. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to thank them, because it is a really beautiful collection. It's a collection that's right up my alley. It's so good. I do want to give an update on this. I bought the Ferrene, hopefully I'm saying that right, Ferrene Pixie Epoxy. And I know that it's kind of like an indie darling, kind of like favorite glitter thing. And the more I've used it, it's really a formula to formula situation, which I think someone did tell me when I first got this, that it's like formula to formula. And I don't know, I mean, perhaps if anyone's familiar with the Half Magic eyeshadows, I can't seem to get those to last on my eyes. And like, not in the way where it looks like greasy and creasy, like in a sexy way, where it's just like, I put Wet Pebble on, I've worn it a couple times, and it goes away. It just kind of disappears. There's like some left in my crease, but even if I tap that out, there's just like kind of like nothing there. And I wasn't sure if that was this, because this has been the glitter glue that I've been using. I need to try it with the NYX one before I like say anything definitive. But if you have tried the Half Magic eyeshadows, specifically the shade Wet Pebble, let me know. Blushing Lizard, I don't feel like I have that much of an issue with. It does seem to just be Wet Pebble. And the Wet Pebble formula, if you've never like felt that formula before, the Wet Pebble formula does feel wet. Okay, I'm gonna go into the lavender shade. I love these shimmers too. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see with these Charlotte Tilbury palettes. I don't know, I feel like we can wait for Morgan Turner. I feel like she always is like the first person who reviews new releases. I don't really understand what people didn't love about this, because I'm using it right now. I mostly reach in this palette for the mattes. I'll show you the mattes in a second, because you can tell there's a dip in them that goes beyond the dips in the shimmers. But like, I'm using the shimmers right now. I'm having a great time. And I'm gonna go into Party Topper, which is this one right here. Was it called Party Topper? Beautyverse, which is a Party Topper formula. And just kind of sweep that on the lid. Okay, that overtook that shadow in a way that I did not expect. So I think I'm going to press a little more of the purple on top. I don't normally talk about the makeup I do on Critical Sass, but in Critical Sass, I'm going to show you this combo that I did for Critical Sass on my eyes. I took Smoky Quartz from Charlotte Tilbury. This is what made me think of it. Because this kind of reminds me a little bit of it. I took Smoky Quartz and Pangolin from Chantecaille, and I layered them. And it was such a good combo. And I know you saw it in my look, but like, I think we need to give another round of applause for that combo because it was so good. Is anyone excited for Lady Gaga's album? I'm never someone who's like trying to like fight the fact that I'm a millennial and that I'm aging or that I'm queer. I don't think that I'm very private about any of those things. I do feel really cringe about queer people my age and the way they talk about Lady Gaga. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. But I also have cringy millennial tendencies, so I don't know what it is. As I said, I use the mattes definitely way more than I use the shimmers in this palette. But the mattes I just find so easy and dreamy. So if there is a color story and they are future mattes, like if there's a more cooler or an actually more neutral color story, because these shades pull a little bit more warm on me than I'd like, I'm gonna finish off the look and we will wrap up. And that's the look. I am just keeping the clear lip gloss on because I'm gonna do a lip swatch video. Lip swatching videos are a test of patience and courage, really. So that's why I'm just leaving the lip gloss. And it's okay. I think my skin looks really fresh and healthy and good. So I think everything's great. So yeah, I think like the real walkaway here is now that I have one of the things that I talked about in Critical Sass and I didn't really love it. The fantasy was much more, you know, it was much more of a fantasy than the reality of using two of the blushes I already had. I already have a skin tint. So like, what a successful look. I already have eyeshadows from Charlotte Tilbury. I already have a literal 9-pan from Charlotte Tilbury, and it's in better packaging than the packaging that they're offering for this new release. So I'm very, very, very pleased with this makeup. And I highly encourage for you to take a look at your makeup collection, look at the new releases, and make a face of stuff you already have inspired by new makeup. It's a really, really helpful practice. But if you are new to my channel and you are not yet subscribed, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button down below. And if you haven't already liked the video, please also hit the like button while you're down there. I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships. Over there, I do one additional video every month. Check that out if you're into that sort of thing, but absolutely no pressure if you're not into that or you don't want to spend the money or don't have the money to spend on that. That's totally fine. I'm just so happy that you are here. In my pinned comment, there will be links to help families in Gaza and people who were affected by the recent LA fires. I'm probably going to start putting some trans organizations down there for us to support too. There's a lot going on, so I can't focus on everything and donating to everything. I'll try to guide us in a specific way, but also if there are things that you should be donating to in your own community and things you can be doing in your own community, that's going to make the most difference if you can do that. Please help people in your life. Please help people in your community. Please help yourself. And that's going to wrap up today's video. Remember to follow your haute and you'll find me, and I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out.